3.
And we're live.
Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker, and this is WPwatercooler episode number 323? 323?
You have one job, Jason.
One job. Oh my God. Well, I looked at the number and I thought, are you kidding me, really? This particular episode, we're going to be talking about WordPress Site Health, and we're gonna discuss some cool stuff with it. So I'm pretty excited about it. This particular episode is brought to you by ServerPress, makers of desktop server. Make sure you go over to their website at serverpress.com, where you can find out how they make local WordPress development easy.
Is it just?
I did that part of my job, right?
Is it all the episodes brought to you by ServerPress? Is it just this one?
No, it's just this one.
One at a time.
Okay, all right.
It's on a case-by-case basis.
I'm just wondering if Mark reviews us each week and says, "All right, I'll do one more week," but that's.
I bet, because like as we were saying, it can get a little iffy sometimes. So I would do that. Wouldn't sign up for the whole thing.
Let's go around the room real quick. Get everyone introduced. Steve, you are always at the end of the list.
I am.
Start us off.
I am Steve Zengit. I'm the founder of Zeek Interactive.
Allegedly.
See WordPress Meetup. Allegedly.
Jonathan, you had the same issue growing up. So how about you? Tell us about yourself.
I'm Jonathan Wold. I live in North Idaho. I did not have the same issue growing up because I was homeschooled.
Oh, well.
Ooh,
well, I guess
I was wondering what issue you were talking about. You mean end of the alphabet, that issue?
Yes. But I wanted to let you decide what you were going to surface.
Jonathan, I share. Maybe we should compare afterwards.
We learned all about that in the psychology therapy episode.
Yes, we
did. Say, how about you? Tell us about yourself.
Oh, I'm Say Reed. I make WordPress, preach WordPress, teach WordPress at Say Reed Media on all the things. I have a fidget spinner today, so.
All right, Miriam, you have to sing. Tell us about yourself.
All right, so I'm Miriam Goldman. I am from Ottawa, Canada. I work for a digital marketing agency, and I'm one of the core organizers of WordCamp Ottawa.
Nice.
Ottawa in the house.
I think
how about you?
It's in the house.
In the house?
Yes.
In the house.
Sorry, it's in the house.
Manny, how about you? Tell us about yourself.
All right, I build websites using WordPress, of course, since 2010. My first website I built in 1993, so a long time ago. I'm one of the organizers for the WordCamp Las Vegas. It's happening soon. I'm going to announce it soon. And I'm glad to be here, joining the show.
Awesome. Good to have you. Cosper, how about you?
Hey, everybody. Jason Cosper, a.k.a. Fat Mullenweg, back in the building once again. Happy to talk WordPress.
Awesome. Good to have you on, Cosper. I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me over at Jason Tucker on Twitter. My website is jasontucker.blog. I do this show as well as another show called WP Blab. We actually did something yesterday that was very interesting. It was called a reblab, where I went and took an old episode and I just reran it. It was because we were both busy and we thought we would do reruns. So we're in syndication now, apparently.
Is it like a remix?
Awesome.
Right, exactly.
Reblab. I just want to say, since I forgot this, and this is new, and I haven't really appended it to my intro yet, I'm also one of the co-organizers for WordCamp Long Beach.
Oh, yeah.
What? In the house?
Allegedly.
No, really. Really, yeah.
When is it, Sue?
Well, we haven't announced it yet, but in October.
Ooh, you almost got it out of her. Good job. Good job.
No, you did great.
Nice. So let's talk a little bit about it.
Not official.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about WordPress Site Health for a minute. So during the pre-show, we kind of discussed this a little bit, and the idea of WordPress Site Health, how your website works, and all that sort of stuff, and how's it keeping up with
or how it doesn't work.
And all of that. But we also came to the conclusion that there's not just Site Health that's built into WordPress itself, but rather we've kind of rolled our own things to kind of manage this stuff as well. So I think we're going to kind of go through all of those and just kind of figure out what's what with that. So Manny, you were the one that kind of brought this up, this idea of Site Health itself within WordPress. How are you kind of approaching this and looking at it?
Yeah, the reason that I gave this suggestion for us to talk about this is because, interesting, this morning, a client came to me and said, "Oh, my site is super slow. I don't know what's going on." And as soon as I logged in on WP Admin, I went to usually we may need to upload like PHP info file or something to get that information. But then I went straight there. She's using the latest version of WordPress, and I could see that she was running on PHP 5.6. And then I told her, no, try to bump it up to 7.2 or something. And then she did. And then the website went from 30 seconds to load to 3 seconds to load, you know. So it was like super fast, you know. And I think this is interesting for entry-level people, because we know that kind of stuff. We can try to, you know, do different ways, but this could help her. And then she said, oh, how did you know that? And I told her, no, I went to this link and I could get that information. Then she could talk to the hosting company and then ask them to bump the PHP version up, you know. So it was super fast. No?
How did that client define site health? Like how did
she went to GT Metrics. Yeah,
okay.
People were complaining about, you know, her website, and then she went. I mentioned GT Metrics before at our meetup, and she went there, you know, tried her website, and then she saw that everything was good, but the time for first byte was like super slow.
What site are you referencing? Something metrics? I can't.
GT Metrics. So she's specifically looking. She was specifically looking for its speed, right? So site load times, things like that.
Yep.
Okay.
And this new tool that came up, I think 5.2, right? It told right there, you could see it was the only problem on her website, PHP version. No, what did they say? They say.
Well, that's not bad then. If it's just that.
That was it.
I mean, you know, speed and performance is one aspect of site health, right? And that's something that's one of the most noticeable ones. But there's a lot of elements to making a site load fast, right? You can't just say, oh, my site's slow. Well, let's just flip the speed lever and then we're set, right? Right, Casper? That's how it works, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I believe it's called a turbo. There's like a turbo button.
Turbo button.
Oh, you wanted turbo. Oh, right.
All right, you hit the turbo button, and you get a little. What are those called? Like a boost.
A boost.
Boost.
Yeah.
A boost.
A boost.
Nitro. There we go.
Nitro. Wow. Yes.
Yeah, you're getting technical now. Jeez.
Hey,
you hit the turbo button, and your copy. You hit the turbo button. Your copy of Wolfenstein 3D runs faster.
That's correct.
What's that, Jonathan?
Too geek for me.
What is this? What is the new site health tool in WordPress?
It came up.
So glad you asked.
Yeah, it has a bunch of criteria that it's looking at, and it's determining.
How do I get to it? Like, where is it?
Yeah. So if you go to tools, and then you click on site health, that's where you'll get it. And it has 4 different things up on the top, which is status, info, troubleshooting, as well as tools. And so I logged in the crappiest site that I have here, because I have a bunch of those, obviously. Come on. And so I logged in to take a look, and there's a bunch of issues that are happening here. Like one in particular, this one says 2 critical issues. You have WP debug log turned on still. I'm like, oh. You know, and there's another one. It's like, hey, just so you know, like WP auto update core is set to false. I'm like, oh, okay. So,
I like that finally something useful isn't going in tools in core, because that's
right.
such an empty little land.
But I think just like with any self diagnosis, when you're doing WebMD, essentially WebMD or WPMD, if you will, the idea is that you're looking at this going like, wait, WP auto update core is set to false. What the heck's wrong with WP Engine? Well, WP Engine's doing something different. So just because it says it's not updating like on the fly, like right then and there when it sees an update, it's going to update it. That doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It just means that your web host is controlling this.
So backing up just a little bit there, Jason. One thing that was really good that came up on 5.1 is that the PHP compatibility thing on the plugins. That was, I think, like.
Oh yeah, that one's a big one.
Yeah, it came, I think, on 5.1, you know, so many people, they can't update the plugin because it's not compatible with the PHP version they are running to, right? Yeah. So
that's just something everyone needs to handle. Like, I have a client an old client, so she's not my client anymore, but she messaged me and was like, I'm having this problem and blah, blah, blah. And her PHP was set to like 5 something or whatever. And I don't even remember what it was. It was like ancient. And I was like, well, this is something you just need to ask your host to update your PHP. And she's like, they won't. And I was like, okay, so actually you need to change hosts. What you need to do.
I had the same problem with the client. They were on PHP 5.3, and the hosting provider that they were with said that her current package should not support even PHP 7.0, so she had to upgrade her package to get that.
What?
Wow.
I believe that's called blackmail.
This is funny.
That's crazy talk.
They're like, sorry, we're gonna keep you on this ancient technology unless you give us more money. Or that's not blackmail, that's exploitation. What is that? It's extortion. I'm a little slow on the pickup today.
Extortation.
Extortation.
So one thing that's interesting to me, because so a host like WP Engine probably wants to filter out that error from showing up, or that the configuration thing, right?
And they should be able to, yes.
And by configuration thing, you mean?
Well, no, the notice that showed up where it's like auto update disabled, like because they have their own protocol for handling updates.
Right.
It's interesting to how we deal with communication in this project in general, because like there isn't a precedent for how to disable. Like you can go in and in an MU plugin or however you want to do it and disable notices like that from showing up, right? And so like my host right now has one that shows. It says that there's a PHP module missing, BC Math. So I've asked them about it.
Alert!
Yeah. And if they say, oh yeah, we should fix that, great. Otherwise, I would tell them that the guidance would be to filter it out so I don't see it anymore. If they believe that I shouldn't.
Ignorance is bliss.
So it's basically what they're allowing hosts and anyone else to do is take a nice little piece of black tape and stick it over that check-in. Right? I don't know how many of you were, broke in your 20s or whatever and just trying to get through to that next check, and you didn't want to look at the check engine light anymore, the whatever lights. You just take that little.
I did that for the gas. Just covered the gas.
That's smart. Yeah, smart.
I'm sure that worked out perfectly.
Never run out of gas.
Never had a problem.
So I mean, so far we've kind of talked about what you're seeing in Site Health, but and that's one tool, right? That's one tool that was added recently in WordPress. But there's another tool that I use as a developer if we're starting to experience some slowness, and that is Query Monitor, which is a plugin.
Plugin
that you install.
Yeah,
I love it.
You want to be careful with this plugin. It is very heavy. It's very expensive, right?
Very
so
heavy.
you don't want to just install it on your production box and forget about it, right? You want to kind of install it, take a look, and then shut it back down, because it by itself can cause slowness, but it'll give you some visibility into database slowness, right? So database queries that are causing problems. It'll also give you a quick view of PHP errors that might be happening.
Yeah,
that's a really handy tool.
I used to code in Code Fusion, and that is built into Code Fusion. You could see the output of the debugging information right there. So when I moved to WordPress, what I think was like one of the first things that I did was actually find out how I could do that. And Query Monitor did a wonderful job. It's really good. Yeah, finding duplicated queries and a lot of other information there. It's really cool.
Does it provide the fixes, or does it fix this error, or is it just shows you what's wrong?
No, it's just showing you what's wrong. It's more a developer tool, right?
Yeah.
It's not. If you're just running a site and it's running slow, you don't install Query Monitor and hope to fix anything. That's not what it's for.
Yeah, it's not that.
It's to give you a picture of what's going wrong.
See, that's kind of what some of the problem with Site Health is that that's just in there, and so the clients can go look at that, and then they're like, alert! Oh my God, there's problems. And without the educational component, of what that means. I mean, I guess that's good because it's just more billing time. But sometimes I feel like that we're just like, let me explain that to you.
But
here's my invoice.
The same thing is true of tools like GTmetrix and Pingdom tools and Google PageSpeed.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get a lot more information than you can actually address, right?
Yeah, I think this is more there is that saying, you don't know what you don't know. So this is kind of leading them into a way to find the solution for this kind of problems, right? So, and hiring us or something like that. We mentioned GTmetrix into a page speed meetup that we had here at WordPress, and a lot of the people there started trying their websites. And it's funny thing, the number one reason that they have their site slow is not WordPress or anything, it's images. They have
always the freaking images.
Yeah.
I had a client, well, he wasn't actually my client, just like a person in a workshop asking a question. He like showed me his like results, and he was like, you know, what does this mean? What do I do? And I was like, really, you just need to adjust your images. And he was like, no, but what about this stuff? And I was like, don't worry about that stuff. Fix your images. He's like, I don't want to fix my images. I just want to fix this stuff. And I'm like, I don't know, like, just like, that's going to be your bulk of your problem. But he was just so obsessed with the technical stuff that was like, he wanted to make everything super optimized or whatever. And I wouldn't just do the kind of simple answer, wouldn't believe that it was his own content that was causing the problem. It was like this whole, I was like, that's why he was not my client.
So I know Caspar had something, but related to images, I just want to say really quick, the other thing that I'm finding problematic these days is Google Tag Manager. Right? So Google Tag Manager gives you the layperson, the ability to add any third-party tags you want to your site. Right? And so when you start to look at GT metrics or Pingdom tools or Google PageSpeed, you'll find that those third-party tags actually are hurting your site health and your speed. So anyway, go ahead, Caspar. I cut you off earlier.
No, I did, but okay.
Well, you did, but then I cut you off. So by the transitive axiom of, I don't know.
You're doing it again.
And then so many good points were made that I lost my train. But,
I have a question.
Yes.
Unless you had a new train of thought, Caspar. Okay. So
there's more Caspar.
Caspar the Friendly. So with one of the controversies around Site Health's introduction was whether or not it should show the percentage at the top.
Percentage of what?
So if you click tools in Site Health, it shows you a percentage of completion.
Yeah, and then people get obsessive with that.
Obsessive.
I'm curious what you guys think. Like, I actually like it. I realize some of the risks, but yeah, I'm curious. Like, what do you guys think about that? Should we
the risks are when your site is not fully developer managed, right? So if the site is like a lot of my clients, I'm building sites for them, but they're DIY people. I'm training them to use it or whatever. And then what y'all just said is that they get obsessed with that. And they can't make the difference in nuances. So if they're on WP Engine, they're like, I'm at 94%, and I can't. You know,
is that how they sound?
Yeah, in my head, they get obsessed with that stuff. You know, and actually, it's a similar conversation to accessibility that I've been having. People are like, I need 100%, and I was like, well, that's going to be difficult because that's a moving target. So you know, but people are obsessed with that. The same thing with Yoast SEO. People are like obsessed.
Oh God.
And I mean, I love those signals. I think they're super helpful, but you know, you can't always get to that. There's no like perfection in that. And the percentage, I think, really implies that you can get to that perfect percentage. And if you have that, that means you're fine and everything's good. And that's not really what that means. And it's not really super achievable anyway. So
yeah, one thing that it happens a lot on GT metrics, people get obsessed with the score, but the important stuff there is not the score, but the time to load that page. If you are loading under 3 seconds, I don't care about score. It could be an F. If it's 3 seconds, 2 seconds, perfect. You know, that's what we want, right?
So as a senior performance engineer, as like that is my job title that sounds fancy, but basically I just help make sites go fast. The bane of my existence is somebody who has learned about Google PageSpeed and they want to get 100% on Google PageSpeed Insights. It is damn near impossible. But conversely, looking at the WordPress Site Health, like a lot of the stuff, I just spun it up on like a local environment and looked, and the things that are there potentially for me are pretty low hanging fruit. You should remove inactive plugins. So I have a couple plugins that aren't active. Okay, fine. That's something an end user should be able to handle. You should remove inactive themes. Okay. We recommend that you update PHP. So I'm using an older version. I think it's 7.1 or 7.2, but 7.3 is out. So it's just trying to push me up into the next version of PHP. So it's like, okay, that might get a little more complex. That might be something you need to either get your host involved or a developer or something like that. And your site doesn't use HTTPS, which again, it's local development. But that again is something you can go to your host with. But everything else on the site is fine, and it's kind of all fairly low-hanging fruit stuff that can be addressed by an end user. I don't think that a lot of the things that they have on there are terribly complex. And again, I could just be getting like a little bit of color from being a developer and someone who's been working with WordPress for a while. I'm sure that a lot of end users who have been using the product for just a year or so or even less might be like, I don't know what any of this stuff is. And hey, great, that'll keep me and Say and Steve in a job, like perfect. But
I just want you all to know, I just ran google.com on their page speed score is 92%. I've never done that before, but they have an F. They have an F on their landing page redirects. It's really hurting them. And so just FYI, if you ever have a problem with a client getting 90%,
good idea.
Literally, that's just straight up google.com. There's nothing on that page. That page should have like an A+.
If you run Google PageSpeed on the Google PageSpeed site, does that cause a rift in the space-time continuum?
I was trying to do it, but I didn't want to like do all the login shit. I was like,
I'm running GT Metrics on GT Metrics now.
Yeah, I know. Now I'm like obsessed.
You're gonna cause some recursion issues.
Oh look, they get 92%.
Like freaking out. This is way too much fun.
It's inception.
One thing that's interesting to think about is the ramifications of this.
Wait, sorry. Google PageSpeed gets a 93 on Google PageSpeed.
Oh, 1 more percent.
Just so we're clear.
So with a user, if we expose these things, because when I ran it on mine, I immediately went through, updated all my plugins and deleted my extra themes and got rid of the inactive ones. Like I took that action. And my last 2 items are questions from my host. So I'm like, hey guys, either fix this or filter it. And I see some of the points, like there will be consequences, right? Like people will get frustrated, but the big question is, overall, is it really a bad thing? Like when you look at the total of WordPress, because suddenly this could be the thing that's driving more people to say, hey, why am I on an old version of PHP? Like what's going on? So my sense is that on the whole, this is a very positive move in a good direction.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree.
I think, what if, I guess this is kind of what we are, but like, does this make us insurers in a way? Like if you have a retainer with a client, like it's kind of like insurance, because this is health. We're talking about healthcare for your site.
Ooh.
And then it's like kind of like insurance. I'm like, oh, is this like a new business line we should go?
Yeah, I'm hearing a Say branding pivot here.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know.
WP house calls.
One of the
I already looked up WPMD, by the way. It's taken.
One of the things that drives me nuts. One of the things that drives me nuts when I'm reviewing a client site or when we're taking over a project is when you have 20 notifications at the top of the WordPress dashboard, right? Those actually shouldn't be ignored, right? And so I know a lot of clients just literally close them out or ignore them. I like to find out what's going on and go through and fix those things, right? So I try to, one of the things I educate my clients is keep your WordPress dashboard as clean as possible. And if you have a question about one of those notifications, if it looks too technical, ask me and let's get those cleared out, because those things typically mean something besides the ones that are advertising another plugin or asking for donations, right? The other ones actually do mean something.
Yeah. And one other thing too is if you go to the root of the website and you see that the error log file is like 50 megabytes, it's definitely something wrong. On your clients.
I was going to say, Steve, there's something known as notification fatigue for folks who, nonstop, they're getting, push notifications on their phone, everything else. If they don't know how to deal with something and they're getting these nonstop pop-ups on their WordPress dashboard, that is absolutely a form of notification fatigue, especially if they're managing multiple sites. And
they'll just ignore it. I mean, that's what happens. I was working with a client and I was logged in. And I was like, hey, just FYI, when these notifications appear, you can just dismiss them. And so we were like on at the same time, and she like clears them, and she was like, oh my God, that's so much better. I didn't even realize those were there. Like she was literally like didn't see them.
A full page scroll just to get to your list of posts, something's wrong.
But like, but it's the key thing is here, not only did she not read them to see that there was just a brief notification and it said dismiss. It wasn't even anything. It's just like, buy me a cup of coffee.
Right. Yeah.
Like just completely blindness, notification blindness.
Yeah.
Notification fatigue leads to notification blindness. There we go.
Couple other tools I wanted to mention. These are a little bit more advanced developer tools that we use in our workflow. There's one called Sentry, Sentry.io, Sentry. So Sentry is a better PHP logging system. It's not free. It does cost money, but what it does is all of your PHP errors and notification and warnings go over to Sentry. It groups them, it organizes them, and it can send you alerts if something is starting to get out of control. So you can say, if I've got over 10 of this particular kind of alert, send me a notification. I want to know about it, right? And so you can also go in and mark things as resolved, and so keep your PHP errors very organized. And so that's a handy tool.
Now with Sentry,
our system.
if you're the right kind of neckbeard with Sentry, don't they have an open source component that you can install yourself? I believe that they have.
Not that I'm aware of, but that might be true.
Yeah.
And then another tool that we use, and I've mentioned this on WaterCooler before in our workflow, is called Ghost Inspector. And so Ghost Inspector is a visual checker, right? And so we use it as part of our deploy system. But as soon as we deploy code, our deployment system kicks off a Ghost Inspector script, and it goes through certain pages on the site to see if they've visually changed by a certain percentage. And we can set that percentage. So we can say, if it's more than 10% different, send us an alert. And so it's our visual testing tool, so that we don't have to go through and regression test everything that's on the site.
I have a question.
There's other tools like it, but Ghost Inspector is the one that we like.
Where do you have your notifications sent? So is that going to the project manager? Is that going to someone who's in charge of the Ghost thing?
Slack. It literally goes into the Slack channel for that particular project. So
that's nice.
So as soon as we do a deploy, it goes to Ghost Inspector, and Ghost Inspector sends us a report in Slack, and it'll tell us homepage good, about page good, store page changed, right? And so it'll actually break it down right in Slack, and we can go in and take care of it right away.
That's some sexy workflow right there.
Yeah, if you want something simpler,
that's actually my new nickname, is Sexy Workflow.
Yeah, you heard it here first.
I use a Uptime Robot too. Not as fancy as that one, but for just to tell yes or no, site is up, site is down. It's interesting.
Pingdom.
I hate that stuff. Site is up, site is down. Like it's just like site's up, site's down, site's up, site's down.
Some of our clients are on Pingdom tools, and we get those alerts as well, and we put those in Slack too. And so Pingdom tools will let you know something went wrong, site's down, site's up, and how long it was down for. Those are handy.
I find that like really annoying, honestly. Like it's like a microsecond. Like
there are some false positives that happen. So yes.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, is that like, so was it, I don't know what it's called now, and George isn't here, so he can't correct me, but I think it was WordPress, but now it's all just Jetpack, I think, because Jetpack
has its own tester,
it's absorbing. So have that on a couple clients' things, and they get really alarmed when their site is down, right? Like understand.
Oh yeah.
So they get a notification, your site's down. They're like, rah! And then they'll like send me an email. Yeah, that's what they do. They go, rah! And then they send me an email. And then 2 seconds later, they're like, oh, just kidding, it's back up. And I'm like, can we please not do this? Like, please, pretty please.
That's their downtime monitoring system is what Jetpack calls it.
Yeah, but I mean, which is good to have. But again, it depends on who's getting those notifications, and it depends on how the site is being managed. Because if it's the client managing their own site mostly, then this stuff can really, I don't know, I wish there were like different modes where you could be like developer mode and it'd give you all those details. And then it'd be like, I don't know what you call it, layperson mode, or just like normal mode or something, where it's like normie mode. That's what we can call it, normie mode. And then it would just be like the big ones that are like, you really do need to pay attention to this, as opposed to like all the micro stuff that like Cosper likes to, geek out on.
Yep.
The neckbeard's delight.
Neckbeard,
Exactly.
That's what you said, not knackbeard. Neckbeard.
Neckbeard's delight. Yep.
All right, neckbeard's delight.
Oh my goodness. All right, folks.
Time.
Thank you very much for all of you for coming on the show and hanging out with us and talking about this stuff. I really appreciate it. You can go over to our website at WPwatercooler.com/subscribe. That's where you can learn how to subscribe to this show as well as WP Lab. And if you're interested in getting on this show, I've had people that say, "Who do I have to talk to get onto the show?" It's really easy.
Send your checks to. Sorry.
Right, exactly. So go fill out the forms over there, get subscribed to our mailing list, and we'd be more than happy to have you come on to the show.
Come chat to us.
Thank you very much. You have a good rest of your day. Talk to y'all later. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.